Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tech Support Live. This is a weekly live stream that we're doing every Friday to help you guys out with all of your questions. So, if you guys are having any questions about setting up your NETGEAR product, or you guys are just needing help in any way, shape, or form, please drop a comment down in the chat, and we'll be able to help you out as soon as we possibly can. So just to introduce myself, in case this is your first time here on the show, I'm Angelo. I'm the Senior Interactive Media Specialist here at NETGEAR. I run the YouTube channel, the Night Hyper Gaming Twitch channel, and I have my hands on a lot of the content that you'll see pretty much everywhere across social. So, if you ever see anything, there's a chance that I might have touched it in some way. But that's me. I'll kind of hand it off. Michael, I'll hand it off to you.
Sure, sounds good. Hi, I'm Michael. I'm the technical marketing manager, and I handle working a lot of the live events that we do, various trade shows, as well as managing a lot of stuff that goes on the Amazon site, and I get to handle a lot of the cool tech that we have.
All right.
Ben, you up?
Ben.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Ben Acevedo, also known as Zardu Ben, Nighthawk Pro Gaming Brand Experience Manager. You'll see me on various different places, from events to like virtual events like this, to streaming, social media. If it has Nighthawk Pro Gaming attached to it, I would probably am attached to it as well. So I'm here to help answer questions as usual, and hopefully we get some great questions today. I can already see a couple of regulars already popping back. I'll turn it over to Darren.
Hi, I'm Darren. I'm a tech support specialist and community moderator. You can find me in the community helping in answering questions, and I'm here to help today.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys again, to everyone in the chat. So I do see some regulars. I see some, new people as well. But let's go ahead and we could go ahead and start. So, Ronald, we got your first question just coming in. You just bought the RBS 850 Wi-Fi system. I presently have AT&T Uverse as my internet provider. I am trying to set this up, but I'm unable to get an internet connection to my Orbi router. Screen says unplug modem and try again, or use advanced setup, and neither has worked. Cool, and we'd be able to help you out here. Just kind of tossing it out to everyone here. Would you guys have any kind of leads as to what he may be experiencing?
Well, one of the first things is Ronaldo did mention that he had tried unplugging the modem and then tried again. Just make sure that you're doing it in the right order. The best thing to do is power off your modem and your router, then power the modem back on again with the router connected to it, and let it completely boot up, and then boot the router up and try running through the setup. Because if the router is on when the modem gets turned on, it's not going to be handing an IP address. So that would be the first thing, which you may have already tried. Another thing is you can try factory resetting the router, then connect that back up, try rerunning the setup. If that doesn't work, then the next step you can try is actually doing a manual setup on the Orbi instead of going through the automatic setup. And one thing that can sometimes cause problems when you're connecting a router to the AT&T Uverse is if the LAN IP that the router is trying to be set up with is in the exact same subnet as the IP address that your AT&T modem is giving you. And the AT&T modem normally gives 192.168.1. One is the modem, and then numbers above that to the router or anything connected to it. So you want to make sure that the router, the subnet that's it's using, is not the 192.168.1x. And I'd recommend probably the next default would be 10.0.0.1 for the router, and then it'll hand out those IP addresses from 2 on to its clients. So those are a couple of suggestions. Darren, you got any other ideas?
Yeah, usually with gateways, you might have a combo unit from AT&T. He may want to disable the router portion of the AT&T unit, make it modem only. You'd have to look through the manual for AT&T's modems if it is a combo unit to do that. Also, I've seen he might need to do maybe some MAC cloning between the router and the modem to see if it doesn't get an IP address. Sometimes that helps get it connected. But yeah, everything else you said is a great thing to check as well.
Just to kind of give you a little insight, actually, I did run into a similar situation, actually, filming one of our videos on the YouTube channel. One thing, I think it was the cloning of the MAC addresses. That's what I actually ran into. So I understand this situation firsthand. What happened in my situation was that while I was setting up the Orbi router, I also had a switch plugged in to the router while I was setting it up, because the house was wired through Ethernet. So that was one of the first things I was like, hey, I'll just plug it in. But there was something up with the MAC cloning, and essentially to fix that, I was like, I had to restart the process and make sure you're starting clean, right? Reboot the modem, reboot the router, make sure that nothing else is plugged in. In reality, another thing that I kind of did to prevent that as well was to leave the router after I plugged it in, leave it for 5 minutes. Apparently that time was that was to let the modem find the IP address and kind of just wipe everything off clean so that it was able to find the IP address and then get that internet from the modem into the router. So, Ronald, let us know if any of these suggestions have worked for you. Just a reminder for everyone who's watching the show right now, we will be here until 2 p.m. Pacific time. So it's a 2-hour show. We have a decent amount of time to guide you through the process, answer any follow-up questions. So Ronald, let us know if that has helped, but we'll be here to help you out as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, just give those pieces of advice a try, and then get back to us, and we'll see if there's anything more that we can help with. Just wanted really quick to Moon Mirage Zero. Will we be leaving this video up? Absolutely. You already answered it, so now I'm already answering it second time. But for those these videos, yes, and the thing is go back through. There's a lot of different great pieces of information that Darren and Michael have given out on various ways of different troubles that people have. I almost think that we should, like put a playlist of, especially of like Michael's greatest hits.
As long as there's a music score in the background,
we can probably do that. But
put it on Twitter for
you. We leave these up because we want people to be able to find them. There may be some good information that will help you, even if it's not like you may not have had the exact issue this week, but maybe we solved it last week.
Mm-hmm. And also remember, you're talking to the NETGEAR team, so we do have direct communication. We always work with our product line managers, with our with our tech support specialists, and pretty much everyone who has a hand in actually designing, engineering, and manufacturing these products. So if there's something that we're seeing in the chat, this is something that we could float out to the greater team, and you guys could make that difference. So just want to thank you guys again for attending, because your chat means a lot, and we wouldn't be here if you guys weren't in there asking your questions and us answering them. Cool. So David, I see your question here. You're having a little bit of issues with your RX 120, and let's try to see what we can help you out with. So I see that you had a follow-up a little bit down the chat. So it looks like some slowdown issues. RX 120 requires a reboot every 12 to 24 hours to get the speed back up from 20 megabits per second to 800 plus. I've done firmware updates and factory resets. I do remember some chats in the past talking about the RX 120. I think we've passed off the beta firmware, but I'm not sure if that had to do anything with internet slowdowns. Darren, do you remember if that was with that? Was it with the slowdowns, or was it a different kind of issue?
We don't currently have a beta firmware, but we have a release, so maybe we need to check to see if they're on the latest firmware. Make sure you're updated to the latest firmware. I know there was a lot of fixes in that firmware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you, kind of doing these shows every week, we tend to kind of see some of these things pop up. Kind of our general rule of advice, or at least general rule of advice that I'd give you. Yeah, like Darren mentioned, make sure that you're upgraded to the latest firmware. I would also, mention that if you do continue to have issues, usually resetting your router and putting it in the same Wi-Fi name and password, it's a pretty relatively simple process. You won't have to reconnect all your devices that are in your home. That may be a solution to kind of fixing these slowdowns, because it may be something on the software side. But otherwise, I'm not too sure if anyone else on the team here can offer any advice besides making sure you're updated on the latest firmware and resetting as kind of like your last solution.
No, that's pretty much the best first start, is making sure that you have the latest firmware, and then do that factory reset just to be sure that you've cleared out any old information from the previous firmwares. Normally, it's supposed to erase all of that, but sometimes bits and pieces get left over, and they can sometimes cause problems. So that is a good first step. Also, contacting our support link. Do we have that posted up there for them to see?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
yeah, that would be a good thing to be able to follow up.
Awesome. Yeah, check out our description in case you guys want like hands-on help going through the traditional support route. Again, because we could only do so much heavy lifting here on air, us helping you guys out in the chat. If you want to put in a support ticket, there's a link in the description below, and it'll tell you all those steps on how to do so. Ben, I'm not sure if you were going to mention something else.
No, I was just going to add that, I think that we've mentioned it a few times, and I can't stress how important it is if you're having troubles, then I would factory reset it and then add in the new firmware, right, Michael? Because it going to the factory reset gives you a clean slate that you can work from again, as opposed to the possibility of firmware, bits and pieces or corruptions or anything like that. Just to make sure that you have a really firm, clean slate that you can start back from. If you're having continuous issues like that. But I would also, we're here for the next 2 hours. See what you can do, and then come back to us.
Mm-hmm. And David, also one more suggestion. I have seen some things come in if you have Smart Connect enabled. Personally, I have an RX 200, so a little bit similar in terms of the technology there. I keep my bands separate, so I have one 2.4 gigahertz bands and two 5 gigahertz bands. That way, I can kind of see the difference if I'm on the 2.4 or the 5 gigahertz. You will see a speed difference there. So try it out in terms of if you have Smart Connect enabled, try disabling it, and then try doing a speed test on these different bands and seeing if you're seeing the same kind of slowdown. If they're all equal.
I'm almost thinking maybe it could be a device on the network that's slowing it down over time and eating up the bandwidth. So maybe you might want to do a test by like disabling all the units you're not using for a day that aren't important, and see if it needs reset after that period of time. It could be some rogue device sitting on your network doing something, causing it to slow down, because you reboot it, it goes back to normal for a good 12 to 24 hours, and then you have to reboot again.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's a possibility with the Internet of Things that some devices vampire your bandwidth a little bit more than others. Be very cautious, and we've mentioned this before. It's a good idea to take a look at especially your cord cutters or your streaming devices, just to make sure that when you have it off, that it's not using bandwidth, because a lot of those will be using bandwidth in the background.
Mm-hmm. We've heard things about Chromecast. I've heard things about Snapchat. There's all these little different things that are kind of like hidden, poking around, and actually consuming a lot of bandwidth, and you might not be aware of that. Something like even Traffic Meter and the Nighthawk app that might be able to help you kind of diagnose that and see how much bandwidth you're really eating up.
Yes.
You never know. But again, I see that you're going to try it again. Please let us know. You got us for about another hour and 45 minutes. Cool. we got who's next? All right,
Ray.
Ray Correa. All right, I have Ben. Look at you. I have a Nighthawk XR700 gaming router, and I'm experiencing slow internet connection speeds on both hardwired and Wi-Fi. I have 1 gigabit download, only 5 clients connected, no streaming, nothing like that. Already tried changing the MTU, and nothing has helped. Do you have any suggestions?
Slowdown. I would, and Darren, back me up on this one. The big next question is, what do you have the anti-buffer bloat set for? Because that will cause some slowdown. So if you are reserving 30% of your bandwidth all the time, then you're going to see about a 30% slowdown. So my next question would be, what are you running as far as some of the settings that are in the Doom OS, because they're designed to reserve portions of your bandwidth so that way when you need it for gaming, it's there. But it will, if you have it on all the time, it will kind of show some degree of slowdown. And I would say that could be the possibility because he's seeing the connection speeds on both hardwire and Wi-Fi, so it has to be something that's systematic. Yep. What do you think, Darren?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I definitely need to know a little bit more about what settings they have set up on the router, and what if they're using QoS and stuff like that.
Yeah, because those will have an effect on your speeds.
Cool. So Ray, yeah, let us know what your. I do agree. I've seen some things come in for anti-buffer bloat, so check those settings, and we'll be able to help you kind of guide you on what is the most ideal setting for you. Make sure you're not reaching those slowdowns on your XR700. So please.
Yeah, and also if he could let us know, if Ray could let us know what the actual speeds are that he's seeing.
Yeah.
Because I know he mentioned slow, but there can be slow and then there can be drastically slow, which could be a completely different issue.
Right.
Yep. And also, you say you have 5 clients, so let us know which clients you're actually doing the speed test from. I know there's, things that we've seen. Don't do a speed test on your PS4. You're gonna see really slow speeds off of that. Check your computer, check it hardwired, check your computer not hardwired, check your smartphone, check to see if your smartphone is Wi-Fi 6 enabled or not. There's a lot of factors here. Cool. Gabriel Lopez, hello. You're our happy regular, so thank you for coming back to the show. Let us know if you have any questions for us, and we'd be happy to answer them. Moon Mirage, yes, we will be leaving these up. We've been leaving actually every other one of these tech support live streams up as well, so feel free to continue to use this as a resource, even as we're going through this today. And Adalberto, thank you for coming back. Oh man, yeah, super regular.
Oh. Yeah, and that's cool. He said that that his ISP allows him to hook up his own modem, and he purchased a CM1200.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Good
modem.
Choice.
That's a really
absolutely
good one.
a great choice.
You're going to be completely set up. I kind of missed that. I remember, I think, Alberto, you were here last when Alec was hosting the show, so I kind of got to get a little update. But I'm glad that I think that after a few weeks of getting yourself set up for gigabit internet, like it's been some time since the beginning.
Yeah.
Kind of being working from home and all that. So. I'm really looking forward to see what kind of speed you're going to get after you set it up. So please let us know. But if you have any questions or anything in the meantime, we're happy to answer them right now. All right. We got Masquerade. I think this is your first question. So I wanted to buy the XR300. Will I have to update it manually?
Mm-hmm. The answer is no. That's actually part of the setup process. Mm-hmm. At the very end of the setup process, it'll automatically go out and look for a new firmware and then download it and update it. And in the future, it should automatically update unless you go in and you turn that function off. Then you would manually do it. But otherwise, you shouldn't have to worry about it. That is just part of the setup process.
Yeah, it should, until you turn that functionality off, it should automatically update.
Yeah. And, one thing that I kind of also want to emphasize here on the show is that, I do a couple of these surveys that you'll see, sometimes going out in your email. We know that at least it's almost 50-50, but still the majority of people, like around 60% or 55% of people, are still using their computer to set up their router. Which is fine, that's a way to do it, but really we encourage you guys to check out the app. It's just a much more seamless process. You don't have to connect any wires through Ethernet. You don't have to put in anything weird and crazy into your IP address, into a URL. You literally just open up the Nighthawk app, you say you want to set up a new router, and then it's going to guide you through that, and that's going to also include that firmware update. So just one thing to kind of think about when you're, setting up products, and then, because that's my first intuition too. Set it up on a computer, because that's how I've been doing it for years, right?
Plug in that yellow wire from the router to your PC, and then you're like 192 dot what, and we have really done huge strides in making this whole process a lot easier for you.
Awesome. All right. So I see. I'm getting some follow-ups. So we're gonna kind of try to catch up a little bit, so we're not a little too far behind. So Mahesh, you're next. Actually, no, wait. Vanessa Kitty, I want to say hello to you because you're also one of our regulars. So welcome back to the show. Thank you for coming. Mahesh, I have a NETGEAR router R6350. Man, my smart TV doesn't work with it at all. None of the apps are opening up. My other devices are working just fine with 5 gigahertz, but all the devices face issue with the 2.4 gigahertz. I've tried everything. Okay. R6350. How old is that router? I just want to look.
It's a fairly old router. The first question I'd have is the smart TV able to connect to the 5 gigahertz band, or is it actually connecting to the 2.4? Because if it's connecting to 2.4 and all your other devices are having issues with the 2.4, then you've at least narrowed it down that it isn't really specific to the TV. There's some problem with the 2.4 gigahertz band on that router. I'm assuming because it's a 6350 that it's out of warranty. So the most likely things you could try would be one, actually logging into the router and manually upgrade the firmware, even if you're on the latest firmware. Do a manual firmware upgrade, reflash or factory reset the router, and then set it back up and see if that brings the 2.4 gigahertz back on. If it doesn't, then the router itself may be going bad. Darren, do you have any other suggestions?
No, I mean, other than checking the TV to see if it's getting an IP address from the router at all in the settings. Sometimes you can go in, sometimes those TVs have advanced settings where you can go in and look at that. It just depends on the TV, I guess.
Yep. And that would also be for the other devices that are facing issues with the 2.4, is see whether or not they're getting IP addresses at all from the router.
All right. Yeah, so keep us updated here. It's interesting to hear that your devices are connecting to the 5 gigahertz, but are having issues with the 2.4. So I do agree with all the advice here. Try see if you're able to get into the web GUI, I believe, which is an older router. You're gonna have to get the Ethernet cord, plug it into your computer, and then do a router login.net. And then if you're able to mainly update the firmware, see if that's gonna help you out here. If not, reset it. This is gonna kind of echo some of the advice that we've given for some of our other products, but this is also including for some of our older ones too. I might be able to kind of reset that 2.4 gigahertz band. But if you're still reaching issues after that, maybe something hardware related. But feel free to let us know. Feel free. Cool. All right. Shady Joker 1. Hello. When I log into my NETGEAR Nighthawk, I get this message: unable to get name of undefined or null reference on my dashboard. So I'm assuming you're on routerlogin.net. Shady Joker 1, I would actually, if you could follow up with your model number, and let us know what you kind of, what kind of helped me is understanding, what you want to do when you get into the login screen, if there's kind of any other alternative. And let us know if you're using the web GUI or using the app. I don't know if you guys need any more information to help them out.
That's actually a good start. The error message that he's getting is a function call that's it's not able to actually get information back from. And if it's on the router, then that means that there's most likely some corruption in the firmware. If it's on the app, then most likely there's something wrong with the app. So knowing which one to start with, and on either one, I'd recommend, downloading the latest firmware, reflashing it, see if the error message goes away. And on the app, uninstalling the app and then reinstalling the app if that's where you're seeing the error message. But that definitely means that basically it's a function call that's not working. And it should be, so that usually means some sort of corruption's keeping it from actually getting the values that it's calling.
Yeah, because it's either getting something that's garbled, which is undefined, or it's getting null, which means that it's not getting anything. So, trying to locate which end of that communication is disrupting it will help us in helping you try to figure out how to solve it.
Yep.
Yeah. So feel free to send us more details, and then once you do, we're gonna be able to come back to you and then continue helping you out. All right. Tareem, Duma OS 3.0. Any update on when it's gonna be rolling out for the XR500? Signed up for the beta, but haven't heard anything back. Ben,
So,
you got
yes. So, as you know, there is a sign up, and people are signing up for the beta. Keep your ears to the ground in next week. I can't really announce right now, but sometime next week we will be sending out invitations to the first group of beta testers. We're going to be doing it in some phases. So we'll have a first group next week, and then after that we'll be rolling out to other groups as well. But you may be one of the lucky first batch. So just keep your eyes on your email and look for it in your inbox.
Yeah, and I just wanted to follow up to meme. So we actually did a walkthrough. You can see it on our YouTube channel. We did it, I believe, last Tuesday, and all these days are blending together. But we did it last Tuesday. So there's some more information there on the beta, and then if that's where you found out how to sign up, that's kind of our little kind of main portal of our Doom OS kind of content. If you want to see anything, drop a comment, and then this is stuff that's going to help us, as content creators to help you out and give you the information that you guys want to see. So, again, this is a show that is meant to be interactive. We want to hear from you. We want to help you. So yeah, feel free to let us know. And this is stuff that's going to help us.
So I'll go ahead and say this, that to me, you're either going to be in the first or second batch. So just keep an eye out in your inbox.
Nice. So that's why you should be on these shows, because you wouldn't have known otherwise. I do have another follow-up while we have you right now. Important question. Is there a way to use strictly IPv6 to force the PS4 Pro to use IPv6 instead of IPv4? And just another follow-up. I have 500 megabits down, 100 up. When I test on my laptop/phone, when I test on my PS4, I get 300 down, 80 up, but usually drops to 60 down, 10 up, and it's fixed on that until I restart the router. So a couple things there.
Okay. Yeah. Oof. Whole bunch. So if you're using IP6, make sure that your IPv6. Make sure that your modem is set for that, and make sure that, that the router is set for that. The router is pretty easy to set for that, but you make sure that your modem is as well, because if the router is just sending out that, it's going to continue to use IPv4. For settings, your PS4 Pro. That was IPv6. It should be similar. I have an Xbox, so it should be very similar. And of course, wow, I tried to go to the community on article for PlayStation, and I got 404, so that's fantastic. Let's see.
Hey, I just wanted to shout out also in the chat, NETGEAR. Is that Christine? I think that's Christine.
Yep.
Ben, if you have any articles, feel free to forward it over, I think, to Christine either through Skype or Slack.
Yeah.
And then
So,
we'll be able to drop that in the chat.
so the short answer to that is yes, kind of. Most of the stuff on PS4 doesn't support IPv6. So it doesn't do it natively. Various different apps you have to. So whatever app you're using or game, sometimes you'll have to manually set it with the PS4. It's as Darren, you can help me out here, but we deal with a lot of issues with the PS4 and Wi-Fi and its internet settings. It just in this generation, they did not. I really don't. I feel that it's just not up to 100% snuff what it should be, and then a lot of people have problems with connections, especially if you're connecting wirelessly with your PS4.
Yeah, just to kind of reiterate, we've dealt with actually a bunch of PS4 questions in the past. I'll tell you, if you don't have a PS4 Pro, your PS4 has, I believe, an 802.11n card. It can't even detect the difference between a 2.4 and a 5 gigahertz network.
Yes.
So, seeing that you're seeing a drop off from your laptop versus your PS4, as long as your PlayStation isn't actually lagging in real time, or you're having trouble matchmaking, or doing whatever when you're playing your games, that's actually kind of standard to see a drop off. I think obviously 60 megabits down is kind of scary, but it seems like it's kind of fixed to the PlayStation. And I'm just going to reiterate, they don't have good network cards.
Yeah, and this kind of solves also JT Kernel Underdog as well. He's having problems with his PS4 connecting to an X4S. With the PlayStation 4, highly recommend that you wire that thing as much as possible, because as we said, the wireless card is an N wireless card, and I don't remember the last time I had a wireless N router. I can't even in recent memory. So what we're trying to say is that your router may be in the 21st century, but like your wireless card is trying to connect. It's like trying to connect a telegraph to like a cell phone. It's just not going to work as you intended, and so you're going to have some slowdowns with that. So if you are a PS4 player, wire that. I can't reiterate that enough.
Yeah, even on the PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
Tamim, let us know if you're getting those drop-offs, if you're connected wired or wirelessly, because that could also kind of help us diagnose what you're going through right now.
Yeah, and then Kumar has a NAT issue where he's getting strict NAT. And he's tried changing NAT from secure to open, no change, DMZ. Tried port forwarding a particular server. NAT issues. So this gets us into that larger philosophical question about IPv4 versus IPv6, and why IPv6 is so much better it eliminates the whole NAT issue. But that being said, usually NAT issues, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, is NAT issues come from a lot of times modem and especially gateways that are like a modem router combo, and then you have a router after that, and so they're both trying to serve the address, and that ends up giving you either a double NAT situation or a strict NAT situation.
Yep. Yeah, that's correct. Most of the time, this happens when you basically have two different devices that two layers you're having to go through, and each one of the layers is giving out an IP address, and so it comes into your modem on the router side of the gateway of the modem. It hands out one IP address. That then goes to your router, which then hands out a different IP address for its local network, and having to go through both of those at the same time can cause some hardware and some software problems. It's not as common anymore, except in game platforms like the PS4 and some other older ones. Most of the time now, the hardware just doesn't care. The address translation between the two networks works fine.
Okay.
But doing something like port forwarding is usually the way around it. You just have to make sure that you get the correct ports for the particular services that you're trying to bring in. So that's usually what you do. You can try putting it in the DMZ. I noticed that Kumar tried putting it in the DMZ, and that didn't work. He also said tried port forwarding. I double check on the ports and make sure that all of the ports that need to be forwarded are properly forwarded. Because most of the time there's anywhere from like 2 to 4 ports that actually have to be forwarded.
There's usually
still around for some things.
Yeah, and usually whatever game that you're playing, if you're playing on PC or if you're Xbox or PlayStation, they will have a pretty good list of the ports that you'll need to have open. But usually, that list is usually it's like one for gameplay, one for voice, and then one for lobby connection or something like that. So it's usually at least 3.
So there's a lot of recommendations there. I don't know if you guys are able to break that down into something that's kind of try this, try that.
It's a large data dump, but the first thing I would check is to make sure that you are to make sure that your modem, if it is a gateway, that you're not doing router stuff from your gateway. You're letting the R7000 do all the thinking. I think that would be a good port stop to first stop, and then the second one would be, as Michael and I have suggested, making sure that you have all of the ports forwarded.
Cool. That's a cool part. Let us know if any of those two kind of recommendations were able to help you out. I did see a follow-up from Ray. So you were having a few slowdown issues on the XR700. I did a factory reset, downgraded firmware, factory reset, and then upgraded. I haven't tried QoS. For example, on my Note 10, I can't reach any connection. It says I have good speeds, but I can't browse or download apps. I have to turn off Wi-Fi to get it to function correctly. So what I'm seeing here, and I believe you had the XR700, you're having, so you have Wi-Fi, but then it drops out, or it's slowing down. And then you turn off Wi-Fi, and then you come back up, it turns back on. So I'm wondering if there's anything in Doom OS or anything in the software that could help kind of put a Band-Aid on this. Because we got Doom OS, that's a pretty powerful set of tools you got.
He says I have good speeds, but I can't browse or download that I've turned off Wi-Fi just to get functionality correctly. You haven't used QoS, but in the setup it should have set up QoS. So I would go to the QoS panel and see if
This one's tough.
Yeah, this one's tough, but I'm thinking that it's an anti-buffer bloat issue because of the slowdowns, and also the percentage on anti-buffer bloat can be, I would say, misleading, where you're reserving, I want to reserve 90% for gaming, but what you're actually doing is you are reserving 90% for gaming, so now your bandwidth is only 10%. So that percentage that you're reserving is a percentage minus the total amount of your bandwidth. So if you're reserving 90%, you're reserving out of a let's say 100 MB, you're now reserving 90 MB instead of saying that 90 MB should be for gaming. And so you have to think kind of reverse there, and can be confusing. So I would definitely see in that QoS panel what those settings are for anti-buffer bloat, and if you have advanced QoS turned on.
Yep. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the chat. So there's a little bit more information here. QoS is off. Haven't used it yet. Also, when I click on network monitor, it just keeps on spinning and takes forever to load. For context, he's able to get a 300 megabits download speed, but when you go to internet browsing, it gets slow, like 56K. So yeah, you got to turn off the Wi-Fi and then turn it back on to get back to those speeds, and then I think it's slowing back down. So I see the situation here. I'm just, you got a big kind of like belt of tools with DoomOS. So I do agree. Check your anti-buffer bloat settings. I know you haven't messed with QoS, and I think that's fine. I wouldn't touch that. But check the anti-buffer bloat settings to see if that might be chugging any of your devices bandwidth, stealing it.
Yes. I'm thinking that this is something that you might have to write into us about. Seems to be a little bit of a bigger issue. And yeah, because that behavior is pretty strange, wouldn't you say, Darren?
Yeah. I think we need to look into it a little bit more if it is still an issue after he tries some things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I guess kind of we're at that one of the final steps. Check anti-buffer bloat. Let us know what kind of settings you have it set to. We're going to try to tell you if we could recommend anything else if you have it to the wrong percentage or anything like that. But otherwise, Christine, I don't know if you're listening over. There's a ghost kind of watching us or listening to us. But we have an email, netgearteam@netgear.com. We could drop it in the chat for you. And then if you tag #StayConnected in the subject line, we'll be able to know that you're coming from today's show. So we could give you a little bit more personalized help here that we can't really do within that actually hour and 15-minute left time frame. So yeah, feel free to keep giving us updates because we're having help in the meantime. All right, I'm gonna scroll all the way back up. I want to make sure I don't miss anything here. Oh, okay. Brooke, found you. I use Spectrum. I experienced good improvement everywhere with my new NETGEAR Nighthawk router, except when I download and upload videos. Spectrum was going to change the cables in my whole floor. And I hope that improves that for me. Okay. I experienced good improvement everywhere with my Nighthawk, except for videos. Brooke, if you could get me any information on, are you on YouTube and then it's buffering? Are you... I don't know, let's say you're an editor and you're in Dropbox and you're trying to download these videos and it's just like chugging. Let us know. And then I think also one thing is that I believe you're connecting your Nighthawk into your Spectrum gateway. Just to kind of prevent any problems or any kind of interference, something we call double NAT, I would make sure that you have the Wi-Fi disabled on your Spectrum router. And make sure that you are only connecting to your Nighthawk Wi-Fi. Having a separate Wi-Fi name, making sure that they're not like crashing into each other. But otherwise, it's good to know that it's working well. But it's interesting to hear that you're only having problems with videos.
Well, actually, I would ask whether it's really videos or it's when Brooke is doing a massive upload or download. If Brooke could let us know when she says she's experienced good improvement everywhere, if she means that her Wi-Fi signal is good everywhere in the home, as opposed to she's getting fast speeds everywhere except when she's doing videos. Also, one thing I'd recommend is try running a speed test from your PC or your phone by going to speedtest.net to get a good idea of what your upload and download speeds actually are. And that might help, because I'm just wondering about it only being videos, whether it's the site you're trying to go to uploading, downloading videos, or whether it's because you're trying to move large amounts of data and you're internet connection actually is really slow, but when you're doing basic browsing, you're not noticing it.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, let us know if it's more on the file transfer side or the streaming side, because that'll make a difference. But also, Spectrum looks like that they're gonna do some work on your floor, so that could also help. But again, just make sure that you're connecting to your Nighthawk Wi-Fi only, if only, and let us know if you have any updated information on that speed test, because that's gonna help us out here. All right. Cool. All right, we're gonna keep going down. Follow from Adalberto, New York Phase 1. All right. Hey, it's good to know that we kind of saw you in the beginning of the show, essentially, kind of when things started kind of locking down. So it's all that positive energy that's gonna kind of help us kind of bring back to speed, to normal, right?
Yeah, and
hopefully that doesn't mean you won't have time to watch our show, though.
Yeah,
you got to make time to watch our show.
Oh, completely. We're gonna miss you. Don't get your fast internet too fast, because we're gonna miss you.
Yeah, and I just noticed that Bond James is back. Welcome back. Just wanted to say shout out. Thanks for joining us again.
Yeah. Thank you to our regulars, because we love having you here. It also helps that sometimes we've seen you guys actually helping out other folks in the chat. So that's what we want to see. We're here as a community, and we're here to again, we're here to help you and listen to you. So wow, okay, we're only like 25 minutes behind. So we're gonna go to Kevin Hart. Hey, Kevin. I have the Orbi Wi-Fi 6 with 2 satellites. It was replacing the Orbi AC3000 with 2 satellites, but the Wi-Fi 6 was losing connection throughout the day, data factory reset, firmware download, satellite resync, etc. With all the working via telework, okay. While I'm doing remote work, I had to rehook the Wi-Fi 5 and wondering what the why he's experiencing those symptoms of having lost internet connection through the Wi-Fi 6. So it seems like your old product is working fine, but we want you on Wi-Fi 6. And, I think this is something I think we should hopefully be able to diagnose here. Have you guys seen anything come in for OP Wi-Fi 6 in terms of kind of dropouts? Seems like trying to figure out if it's the software or hardware side.
Yeah, I haven't. So just kind of.
Yeah, this one probably, since he's already gone through the basic steps of the factory reset firmware download, it would be best to actually have Kevin go over to the email address that we have.
Yeah.
And that way we can have someone work directly with him. One of the possibilities when he has time is that they could get the log files from the Wi-Fi 6 when this is happening. And that would allow support and possibly even engineering take a look at it to find out what's actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Kevin, I'll have to. Oh wait, actually, we do have it here. So just look through the chat, and then you'll see some kind of similar tips. We have our support team on the lookout for these kinds of requests. So I did see a follow-up from I believe it was Ray as well. It's okay, just both Ray and Kevin, just both reach out to that email, and then we'll be able to kind of help you out here. Just kind of regardless here, we're we work with our support teams, but we're kind of like we're community support. So a little bit separate in terms of the process here. But yeah, we'll be able to dig up those logs and be able to kind of reach out to you offline, because I don't want to be digging through logs and showing it to everyone here on the show.
Yeah.
But NETGEAR team at netgear.com, #stay connected in the subject line, and we'll be able to help you out.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, as long as you use that in your email, make sure that you have that hashtag in there.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, let us know. Vanessa, can my Nighthawk X10 R9000 automatically update firmware? A router wire is blue. Yeah, it should be able to update automatically.
Yes. Yeah, the R9000 has the automatic update feature. In fact, all of our routers these days do. And that's actually the main router I'm using in my home. And it just sits in the background. Whenever new firmware comes out, it updates.
Yep.
And as far as your router wire being blue, the color of the wire doesn't really matter. We have yellow wires shipped out with all of ours just because it's a standard color scheme that we use, so we know that that's the one that's supposed to go from the WAN to your modem. But the color of the wire won't make a difference.
Yeah, and Vanessa, I would also recommend, one, the firmware should automatically update regardless. But if you don't, because it's like I've run into this in the past where I set it up through the web GUI, but I actually never ended up having the Nighthawk app. So I missed out on those features to remotely connect to my router, even if I'm, like not plugged in or outside wherever. If you're able to set it up so you could remotely manage your router, that's something you could trigger within the app. That's something that you could continually be able to see, hey, am I on the updated firmware? Are things changing, and be able to kind of like get a little bit more of a convenient way to access the software on your router right through your phone rather than checking all the time, getting your laptop out, opening that. So I would just encourage you, you could set it to remotely manage your router from your phone, and that'll you can keep on top of that.
Yep.
All right, Adalberto, you had a question about the CM1200. So my ISP told me that they could register this modem, but if for some reason they don't see it, am I able to exchange the modem to a different one that supports it?
Well, there's a couple of questions there, actually. The first one is, does the ISP actually support the CM1200? Which, if he's already talked to his ISP and they say they can register it, then that sounds like they're saying, yes, it's one of the ones that is supported by their system. And if it's supported by their system, then they should have no problem being able to register it once it's connected up to the internet. As far as the second question of being able to exchange it, you'd have to check with your reseller to find out what their exchange policies are. If you purchased it through Amazon, then yeah, you could return it and get a different model of modem. But it does sound like your ISP has already said that the CM1200 is on their list, and they should be able to register it.
Yeah. So come Monday, on Monday, when that day comes, try setting it up. If you want to be extra careful with the packaging, whatever, make sure you don't rip it open, feel free to do so. It seems like it's in a good direction that they can register it. All you have to do is just either give them a call. I've done that before. It's pretty painless process. And then once it's all set up, or actually, no, I've actually had it where I just put in my login information for my ISP and then it was just pretty much automatically registered. So give it a shot. But yeah, it does depend on where you bought it from, but most likely you should be okay.
He said he bought it from our store, is what he just said.
Yeah, he bought it.
Oh, from our store.
Even better. Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we should be able to help you out in case anything happens. So yeah, you're completely within the NETGEAR ecosystem. So again, you have us as a resource. You have our support team as a resource. You're all NETGEAR. You're never sometimes it's kind of tough when things get out of our control. Best Buy, Amazon, et cetera. But we're able to kind of give you that, I guess, VIP experience.
The white glove experience.
Yes. So we'll try to make it easy for you. All right, we got well, thank you Vanessa, for checking out that link. Robus. All right, I was wondering if there was any issue with Doom OS classified games. So I game on the PS4 and it seems like my gameplays are so much better. Source ports 1265535 and okay and destination ports 165535 directed straight to my PS4, but for some reason my QoS and settings are all set up with the recommended settings. So are there any issues with Doom OS classified games?
There should be. There hasn't been anything that I've heard. Once again, we're on a PS4, and it plays better with the ports, source ports open. Is this once again the first question is he connecting wireless or he she is connected wireless or wired? because that's going to be a big issue with the PS4. Yeah, that would be the first thing I would ask as a follow-up.
Yeah, and Robbins, yeah, let us know. I don't, we put these recommended settings, I'm assuming, for a good reason, right? So if these recommended settings are set up and you are receiving improved gameplays through those source ports and destination ports, I hope they're working well, but let us know if you're running into any issue whatsoever. I mean, the classified games, they should work fine. But I believe even so, if you play a game that's off of the classified games list, that you'll still benefit from Doom OS. You don't have to just be playing Call of Duty or League, and then putting it into those settings. It should automatically still work for you.
It should automatically be it should automatically be taking care of this optimization for you. So there shouldn't be that problem.
Yeah. So let us know what you're experiencing, and then we can help.
And really, all that Robus has done is he's basically taken his entire port range, and it looks like he has port forwarded it all directly to his PS4. And by doing that, that shouldn't make any difference to the Doom OS. It's just telling the router, anytime anything comes in on these ports, please send it over to the PS4.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I hope you're having a good time with it. But yeah, let us know. We how far are we behind now? 20 minutes. All right, we're catching up a little bit. Yeah. All right. I think we helped Ray out a little bit. I'm actually just gonna keep going all the way down, and yeah, I'm just gonna reiterate. Yeah, just feel free to reach out to that NETGEAR team at NETGEAR.com email. # stay connected in the subject line, and then we'll be able to kind of help you out a little bit more with the extra 700. All right. I gotta scroll back up. I'm gonna get lost here. There's a lot of comments. Davis, is there a firmware update, or Davies, is there a firmware update for the RBR20 to separate 2.4 and 5 GHz networks?
I don't think we have firmwares for any of the Orbis that'll split those two at this point. Darren, have you heard of any?
No, that's kind of one of the main features of Orbi is the one network. There is no setting to split those.
Yeah.
Yeah, there have been some requests for that, but only from very specific use cases.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen that come in. I believe we do have a board on the NETGEAR community where we could put in specific feature requests, and if they have enough votes or comments on it, I believe then it's going to be sent out directly to our product team, who is able to kind of prioritize these features and start rolling them out. Just to kind of give you guys insight from the NETGEAR level. So essentially, Orbi is intended to make things easy, to make it so that it's set it and forget it. And that's kind of where it's positioned, right? If you want something that's a little bit more where you have a little bit more control, that's where our Nighthawk line comes in. That's where we're finding those folks that they want to separate those bands. They want to have a little bit more control. Actually, if you watched our What is Nighthawk Mesh live event, I think we did that a few weeks ago. We had Arun, our product manager. You can kind of see it. Nighthawk is like our Android, and then Orbi is like our iOS. Set it and forget it, and then Tinkerers. So just different kinds of, people want different things. So just kind of have that as to kind of like when you're thinking about, hey, maybe if you want to go to the Nighthawk line, or, if Orbi is working well for you, this is just kind of, the differences between the mesh systems, because we get a lot of questions on that. All right. Adalberto, I also noticed that my Nighthawk AX12 takes a bit long to reboot, and the power light blinks for a good 4 to 5 minutes before it boots up. Is this normal? And I am on the latest firmware update.
Well, I can say 4 to 5 minutes sounds a little long, but yes, the AX12 does take longer than our other routers to actually complete its full boot up cycle. So it isn't abnormal for it to take a while. 4 to 5 minutes seems a little bit long, but no, that isn't out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it's on the edge, but it's still within.
Yeah, but that's good to know. I know when I kind of set up my RX 200, it does take a little bit to kind of you'll turn it off, you'll turn it on, you get those orange lights, and I'm just like, oh no, don't stay orange. But then all of a sudden it'll blink white, and then it does its thing. So you should be fine. Like, if you're not reaching any performance issues whatsoever, don't worry. I'm sure you're not going to run into any issues in the future. That's just kind of how, it's pretty powerful technology. Like, especially once you get to the Wi-Fi 6 Nighthawk line, there's a lot of really powerful technology in there. So I don't know, it's got to do a lot of. I'm not the engineer here, so I can't say exactly. It does a lot of beep bop boop stuff in there when it's booting up. So that's all I can say.
Yep.
Alright, Shady Joker 1, I think we also gave you some similar advice. I have to kind of scroll all the way back up, but yeah, if you're using the Stay Connected email, the NETGEAR team at netgear.com email, you could put in a screen recording there. That is actually going to probably help us out even more. Yeah, so yeah, don't worry. Alright, I'm back all the way up and going all the way back down. Sorry. Appreciate the patience. James Bond. All right, guys, I bought the CM1200, but the ISP, they didn't recognize the serial number, but I didn't give up. They had to get a level 2 tech support to add it, and now they did. Yeah, so sometimes you kind of gotta, throw some hands when it comes to the ISPs. Next purchase is the Wi-Fi router. Okay, cool. You got your CM1200 set up, very powerful cable modem, so that's probably one of the best that we could offer you. What do you think between the RX200 and the RX120? By the way, learning a lot. Michael thought port forwarding is the way to go. He was right. Michael, another message for your fan mail collection.
One other thing to Bond James, as an Xbox player, make sure that the CM1200, make sure that your ISP can do IPv6, modem IPv6, Xbox IPv6, and also the router. You'll see a huge stability improvement.
Yeah. So, again, this is advice that we could give you only here on the show. That's not necessarily you could find in your user manual. So, appreciate you coming back. But we're here to help you out with another question. RX200 versus RX120. I think something that could help me out, but with my recommendation, I could always tell you to buy the biggest, the baddest, most expensive, but, I want to get you a little bit more personalized help. I would ask you, what are the speeds that you're paying for from your ISP, square footage of your house. Really, when you kind of break it down, the speed performance you'll get between the 200 to 120. If you're like in a smaller home, that speed difference I believe is probably going to be a little bit more marginal versus if you're in a bigger home with thicker walls, more devices. It really kind of depends on what your home setup is. So that's kind of my thing, my follow-up. Let us know about these little details. The amount of devices you plan on connecting, the square footage of your house, anything else we need to know. If you want Wi-Fi in your backyard, etc., that's going to help me.
Yeah, and also if you have a lot of 5 gigahertz clients, then the RX200 is actually a tri-band as opposed to a dual band, which means it has 2 5 gigahertz bands. So if you had a lot of 5 gigahertz clients, you'd have 2 full bands for them to play on instead of having them all on one. But otherwise, for most of the devices, you're going to be getting the same speeds and feeds out of either one of them.
Totally agree. Because again, I have an RX200 myself, and I have a good amount of devices here in my home. You could obviously see here. I put all my IoT devices essentially on the 2.4 gigahertz network. So, things like my Google Home, Alexa, pretty much anything, like my light bulbs and etc. But then my PS4, the Xbox, the 3 laptops I have here running the stream, those are all on the 5 gigahertz networks. So it's worked just fine for me. So the more intense, I guess, your bandwidth consumption is, and the amount of devices we're connecting, that's where I would push you to the RX200. But if you're in like a studio apartment, 8 devices or something like that, then 120 should work just fine.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, we'll keep going down. No Heart Supreme, best router for Xbox One. Boom.
Is that a question or is that a?
I think he's shouting out Bond James
Yeah,
for
I
the
think
port
so as
forwarding
well.
comment. So
Yep.
yeah, you're with the right team here. So yeah, we appreciate you guys, for coming. All right, so Kumar. All right, I believe this one was for the R7000. So there's no other gateway. The ISP cable is plugged directly to the R7000 WAN port. I checked all articles available. It's still giving to change NAT strict to open. I believe that's it.
Yeah,
So,
if he has if he basically just has a Ethernet cable that's going straight into the WAN port of the R7000, there has to be a modem somewhere that is actually connecting up to his ISP, because the router can't talk directly to the ISP. And
Yeah.
if he just has a wall jack that he's plugging into, then someone else is actually managing the modem portion. And so you're very limited on the troubleshooting that you can do, because that's half the equation to actually talk out to the ISP. I would double check that that's actually the case, that all you have is just an Ethernet cable. And if you do, say, for instance, you're living in an apartment complex and they're actually managing the internet for you, then you might want to get together with them and ask them some questions, let them know the problems you're having, because it could be the management on the modem side that they're managing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you have to have a modem there.
Yeah, I do agree. That's actually something I never really even thought about is, having someone else manage your modem for you. But again, everyone has different situations everywhere. So yeah, let us know. We're going to continue doing this. We have time is flying. We got about 52 minutes left. And we do these every Friday. So again, even if time is running out, you could catch us again next week and we'll be happy to help you out then. All right. We got Kevin Hart. Is wiring an Orbi satellite like the Orbi Wi-Fi 6 or ACU3000 the same as being wired into the router directly for speed-wise with consoles and etc.?
I'm going to say that Wi-Fi is catching up really fast on speeds with console and may surpass it in the near future. Wi-Fi 6 looks super awesomely promising for that, but you need a Wi-Fi 6 device, and consoles are currently not Wi-Fi 6. But I'm excited for the next generation. Hopefully, we get some better Wi-Fi out of the next generation of consoles. So I would still say that it's still best practice to wire your consoles when possible. If you can't do to where it is, then connect wirelessly. But I would say for consoles to definitely try to be wired.
And I think the question Kevin's actually asking is, if he wires into a Orbi satellite, he's hardwired into the Orbi satellite, is that the same as being wired directly to your router? And the answer to that would be no, because you're going wired into the satellite, then the satellite is using Wi-Fi to talk to the router to convert it back into wired again to go out to the internet. So yeah. It definitely isn't the same. Often you won't notice a speed difference because the Wi-Fi speeds between the router and the satellite are probably as fast as what you would normally be getting off of the wired connection. But you do have that wireless portion between the satellite and the router that can cause delays because you are going wirelessly. And if there's wireless interference, or if you're at the far range of the wireless connection where you put your satellite, that would slow things down. So it isn't exactly the same, but if you're getting a really good connection between the satellite and the router, chances are you'll be seeing the same sort of speeds as if you were wired directly to the router. You can test the speeds, though, by running a speed test on that connection from the satellite, and then run a speed test on the router itself and see if you're getting similar speeds. And if you are, you know that Wi-Fi portion in between isn't actually being a bottleneck.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I guess, let's see here. Layer 1, wireless, completely everything. That is the easiest thing to do, but probably the lowest speeds. Layer 2 is being wired into your satellite, but it still has to hop to your router. So better, not the best. And then layer 3 is wiring it directly into your Orbi router, it goes straight to the modem. That's the fastest speeds you'll get.
Yep.
So that's to kind of break it a little bit down for you. Yeah, let us know, Kevin, if you got any follow-ups, and we'll be happy to help. Let's see here. We got No Heart Supreme. I get that on Xbox One. I think that was on the comment for the best router for the Xbox One. Yeah, hey, man, No Heart Supreme, thank you for the shout-outs. The best setup for the telephone router in the NETGEAR 4 times. I mean, we appreciate that support here and calling it out in the comments. JD, Call, Underdog, COL. Do you have a tutorial for that port? I have to kind of scroll up a little bit. I don't know if you guys are seeing anything on your end.
Mhm.
This one was for the PS4.
So opening up the
Yeah.
port for PS4. No, not really, but that's actually a good question. Let's see, port.
Yeah, we do have some KB articles on port forwarding, since that's what would need to be done on the NETGEAR router. And I don't know if there's one specifically also talking about the PS4. Did a quick check to see.
X4S.
Yeah, I don't see anything. Yeah, I didn't see anything specific for NETGEAR routers, but there definitely are KB articles on port forwarding on NETGEAR, and there's other articles on the internet that cover the PS4 port forwarding. So it gives them the information about which ports have to be forwarded.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a pretty good article. I'll drop it into our internal chat, and then it can get pushed out.
Okay.
It's a pretty good article on port forwarding for PS4.
And then, yeah, let me see what I could do to drop that into the chat as well.
Or you could do what Robus did and just port forward all the ports, but then you might have problems with other devices wanting to actually talk out to the internet.
Right. That would be bad. But also
yes.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. Let me go ahead and forward that out to JD. I'll just call you JD Underdog. Someone want to take a lead? let me just throw that in the chat.
Oh, so let's move on a little bit. Ray's got a follow up. QoS is disabled, but I think that we went to that follow up before. But he's like, can I get phone support or do I have to pay for support? Ray, if you reach out to our email, we'll be able to continue to help resolve your issue. So follow the instructions that are in from NETGEAR in the chat to help you get to it. And we'll help you out with trying to get this resolved. And then No Heart Supreme. Kind of like a taco supreme, but minus all the, I guess, the heart. So hence the name. The best setup for telephone router and NETGEAR 4X. Telephone router.
I'm assuming he means a router that has VoIP.
Okay.
A VoIP connection, basically, phone connection in it, and that's pretty much the same as having a router connected up to any other router, which is if it's possible in your VoIP router to be able to put it into bridge mode, that would be the best setup to connect to the NETGEAR router. But chances are you won't be able to, because if it allows for bridge mode, it's probably going to be turning off the telephone or voice portion of it. So all you really need to do is connect the WAN port of the NETGEAR router into your VoIP router that you currently have. And when you're connecting up to your Wi-Fi, you'd be connecting up to the Wi-Fi from the NETGEAR router. Also, if you can turn off the Wi-Fi on your VoIP router, that would be good as well. But you may not be able to do that. You'd have to actually check with your ISP or the manufacturer of the VoIP router to see if you can turn that off.
Okay. I think that's a good starting point for No Heart. Next is follow up from Tamim, that they have a PS4 Pro, that the browser, I do have browser at IPv6, but it's not detecting it. Yeah, that goes back to the issue that the PS4 is really kind of spotty on which applications and which games use IPv6 protocol. You might have to dig through some of the PlayStation forums to figure out which ones are using that and are compliant with that. But for the most part, the PS4 is probably not going to be using that. Yeah, I know that that's not the answer that you want to hear, but unfortunately, that's there's not much we can do to force it to do that. And then Jerio J Blanco, good afternoon, guys. Which of these two items has better connection and range for concrete walls? AX 1800 mesh or AX 3000?
Concrete walls.
The answer is neither one of them.
Yeah.
Concrete walls are one step away from the worst possible wall that you can have, which is metal, for Wi-Fi signals. So neither one of those are going to do well. Both of those use the 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz bands, and they will most likely not even penetrate the walls. At best, you might get signal leakage around the walls if you happen to have doorways and so on. The mesh system is probably the only one that you might be able to work around a wall if you actually have an opening where you can have one of the mesh pods in the room, one of them right at the doorway going into the other room, and then the third one in the other room. And you kind of, it's like pool bouncing off of the bank shot trying to get in. But otherwise, neither one of them are going to be happy. And what I would recommend with something like that is take a look at our power line.
It's a great solution.
And that might work if the wall plug on the inside of the wall is on the same circuit as the wall plug on the other side of the wall, which is probably it is because they're both on the same wall. Then if you put a power line unit on each side of the wall, you can plug into that on each side, and that'll actually bridge the concrete wall. And I had to do something similar for other customers in the past just to get past an obstacle, because concrete is really bad for Wi-Fi signals. You can put metal walls up and it'll get even worse, but you're almost as bad.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I live in a building that is concrete and metal, and for the life of me, I cannot get like a mobile signal, cell signal in it. I'm just in a fair. It basically is a natural Faraday cage, and so making sure. I have an extender that's going to the back bedrooms, but I have to make sure that if the door is closed, I don't get as good of signal because it's trying to force signal through that narrow opening. It's a huge pain. I feel your pain there. Concrete is absolutely the worst for Wi-Fi signal, and a lot of signal. Then you throw in. Do you have a microwave? Do you have other electronic EM producing electronics in the house? Do you have an aquarium? If the worst is you live in a concrete bunker and you are a salt fish enthusiast, you're probably not going to get Wi-Fi signal much further than 5 feet away from your router. It's just the nature of environmental factors and Wi-Fi signal. But the power line is a great way of trying to get around that, because it's actually using your house's already electrical system in order to route signal. And the good news is you can also hook those up to you kind of broadcast from the other side, so it's not just all just wired up.
Right, you can actually, there's different versions of Powerline. You have to have at least 2 of them. And some of the units that we sell, one of the two of them actually is a Wi-Fi extender on the other end. So when you plug it in, the wired side that goes to your router then sends a signal over to the wireless unit on the other side of the wall, and that broadcasts your Wi-Fi. Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned the concrete. I actually had to set up at an event where it was in a hotel where the hotel floor was a foot of concrete.
Oh.
And we needed to get signal down to the floor below. And I'm figuring there's absolutely no way it's going to get any signal at all. And I set some stuff up, and sure enough, in one of the outside rooms down below, it worked just fine because the signal wasn't going through the floor. It was actually going out the window, bouncing off things outside, and then coming back through the window on the next floor down.
That's amazing.
What? Oh, that's crazy.
That is completely crazy. See, once again, like I'm every single one of these shows that we do, Michael has a situation like he's almost like Farmers Insurance of like network, because he's like he's seen it all because it's just there is no. I don't think there's a bottom to your experience with this stuff. It's amazing.
Well, hopefully we never find it. It's murky down there.
Yeah. You make clones
so,
of you.
so Dan Tuma, long time watcher of this show, has come back with a question today, and usually he has pretty good ones for us. So let's see what he has. His system's running really for the running 2 Fire TVs, a MacBook, an iPad, 2 iPhones, and a printer. Somewhere in there's probably a partridge and a pear tree in there too. He has a CM400, and he's wondering if upgrading would improve anything. He also has an RAX 5400, and I like the CM400 is really good, but I would say I would upgrade the modem only if he's upgrading his pipeline coming into that house. If you're
what speeds is Dan getting now?
Yeah, he didn't say. So Dan, if you put what speed you're getting.
And also upgrading from the Docsis 3.0, which is the CM400, to a Docsis 3.1. Just by doing that upgrade, if your ISP actually supports Docsis 3.1, you can possibly get slightly faster speeds than you're even paying for. I know for myself and for other people that I've talked to, once they've gone in and put a Docsis 3.1 in, they actually do sometimes see speeds faster than what they're paying for. I'm paying for 150, and I'm actually seeing pretty constant 175 just by going up to the 3.1. So sometimes, depending on your ISP and what your internet speeds are to begin with, you can sometimes see a benefit just by doing that upgrade.
Yeah. And barring that, if you're having difficulties with your local network, if you're just not getting enough oomph and power out of it, then I would change out the router. But how old is the RAX 5400?
Good.
That one's relatively new. I mean,
that's relatively. It's a Wi-Fi 6. It's like. I would say that that should be doing the job. If you're getting if you want to move to was it 3.1, and if you have more than, I think the CM400's rated up to like what, 250?
340.
340. Yeah. It's
and that wasn't off the top of my head. I already looked it up.
But if you're getting a pipeline bigger than that, that's the only reason I would upgrade that. Otherwise, you should be running fairly smooth.
Yeah, it's a good router. The modem itself, it's kind of like you got a big funnel, but like kind of like a small straw at the end. Let us know what the speeds you are getting and what the speeds that maybe you're supposed to be getting. If we see a bit of a bottleneck there, then yeah, we will, that's, in my opinion, I would say the CM400 being rated up to 340 megabits per second, and then that's still being rated in a lab environment. So, like, maybe in the real world you get, like, 150, 200 or whatever. And if you're supposed to be paying for, like, 250, yeah, I would tell you upgrade the modem, get a bigger straw from your neighborhood. You have a big funnel, but you want to go from this, get essentially more bandwidth coming in from your neighborhood and your local cables. But if you're reaching the speeds that you're paying for, then honestly, then no, we're not going to tell you to buy something if you don't need to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
And then who's next? So
Yeah,
Ryan, he's like, I've got an XR500. Okay, great. When I unplug my XR500 for a month and plug it back in, my connection's amazing. Well, that's probably not so great. And then the next day, it's rubbish. That's terrible. So, especially when playing Call of Duty for any reason. So, if for this suggestion, any suggestions? Can you help keep up the good work? Well, thanks on the good work. So, big question would be, do you have the latest firmware for the XR500? That's really weird that you unplug it for a month and it came back and it was amazing. The next day it's terrible. I'm wondering, are you unplugging it for another, just reading, keeping it unplugged for a month is a little excessive, but you shouldn't be having those dropouts. Darren, is there anything that you've been seeing about this that could help?
No, but I mean, updating the firmware, maybe doing a factory reset since it hasn't been online and connected to stuff for a while. Maybe messing with some of the settings for geofilter, bluffer bloat, stuff like that. If it's dropping connection.
Yeah.
Let me get that. Here. There's a community article, like a quick start guide. I'm gonna drop that out. And
yeah, and again, shout out to Christine. She's behind the scenes. She's the ghost. Not on the show, but she's in the chat. So, Ben, if you got anything to forward over, we'll be able to get it over to the chat, courtesy of Christine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear that if you're getting a dropout after a month of being disconnected, it should be just regular plug and play. But let us know, Ben, when you got that link in there.
Yeah, let me grab it real quick.
But then, in a whole month, perhaps there was a firmware update that came out while you were gone. And we just want to make sure that you're fully updated. And then, let us know even after you update that. We still got about 30 minutes left on the show. I know you put that comment in about, 12:50. So we're a little bit behind, but we're catching up. Hopefully relatively quickly. Hopefully you're still here listening to us. We'll be able to continue helping you out until the next 30 minutes. All right. So just so we can catch up, we got Davies M23. All right. I think this is a follow-up coming from something a little bit earlier. The reason I asked is some devices can't connect or can't detect the SSID, but other devices can detect the SSID. I have to kind of scroll all the way back up. Oh, this is...
Yeah, he was asked.
Yeah,
he was asking about being able to separate the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz on the Orbi. And yeah, I have seen this happen before in our corporate headquarters, but that was mainly due to the fact that we have so many Wi-Fi signals that there are some devices that aren't really great picking up the SSIDs, and if there's too many of them, it just won't find it. One thing that would be interesting to check is on the devices that are connecting, if you can find out whether they're actually connecting only to the 5 gigahertz and that the 2.4 isn't actually broadcasting. It should be, because it should broadcast both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz with the same SSID. But trying to troubleshoot and narrow down exactly what it is, or is there particular types of devices that aren't connecting in? And then there might be an incompatibility between those devices and our Orbi that we would need to know about. Darren, got any other suggestions?
No.
Yeah.
Nice and concise. Good answer.
Sorry, could you? So if you could break that down again. So if it's is there something on the software side or anything that you can do?
There's nothing you can do on the software side to separate the 2.4 and 5 on the Orbi. So one of the things is first check the devices that are having problems connecting in and see is it a particular type of device, say a security camera. That helps narrow it down a bit. Also the devices that can connect, see if they're actually connecting at the 5 gigahertz or the 2.4. from the client side. And if you can find out that they're only connecting to the 5 gigahertz, then that might mean that the 2.4 isn't even broadcasting, which would mean there's something wrong with the hardware. And that would explain why the devices that only support 2.4 aren't connecting in or not even seeing an SSID. Because I know I have a laptop here that when I pop it up, I only see my 2.4 SSID because it only supports 2.4, even though I know the 5 gigahertz is out there. So you've got to kind of do a little bit of detective work to try to narrow down, where the commonality is between the devices that aren't connecting and the ones that are.
Awesome. Cool. No, that was a really good breakdown because, sometimes, it's, networks are tough, this is why we do this show, because everyone's got a different situation, everyone's got a different house, everyone's got a different set of devices. So, thank you again, Michael, for the thorough answer. And Davies, let us know if, you're able to kind of provide any follow-ups, and we'll be able to help you out. Awesome. We got Buddy. I have a GS724TP that has a GS108PP connected. Often the GS724 will detect a loopback and shut down the port, so I have to unplug the 108 and re-enable the port, then plug in the 108, and then it'll work. So we're actually on the NETGEAR business line. Unless I'm mistaken. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So this is on the ports side of things. I'm not too knowledgeable on the NETGEAR business side of things. Michael or Darren, do you guys have any suggestions?
Sure. Well, one thing I can jump in to kind of narrow it down. First of all, what a loopback normally means is that the switch detects that there's more than one path between the switch and the device that it's talking to. And so it can send a signal down to the device. That signal can come right back to the switch, which causes the switch to detect a loopback. And normally that's caused by having like 2 Ethernet cables plugged in between the 2 switches. So you basically have a circular path. I'm assuming that's not happening with this system, which means that either one of 2 things is happening. The GS724TP is faulty, and some signal that the GS108 is sending back to it is causing it to trigger and think that it's in a loopback mode, which it shouldn't be. The other thing is that GS108 is faulty, and it's just sending signals back that are bad. Not really sure how you would detect one or the other unless you happen to have another switch that you can plug into the same port that you were having the GS108 in. Run for a while with that and see if you have any problems. If you have 0 problems, then you know that it is the GS108 that's faulty and sending the rogue signal back, which is causing the 724 to flip and say, sorry, there's a loop back here, we're turning the port off.
Wow, awesome. Yeah, great answer. I haven't seen anything kind of followed up from Buddy, but try that out. Like, still a couple, set of things to do here. I know you have a pair of devices. Please try it out. And if there's not enough time to test it out, get your comment in. We'll be happy to help you out on our next Friday show. So again, we do these every week, 2 hours, 12 p.m. Pacific time to 2 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah. And the one other suggestion I can give is also make sure that you're on the latest firmware on the switch as well. And if you're not, upgrade the firmware on the switch. Retest, see if the problem is still there.
Yep.
Awesome. Cool. All right. We're going to go down to Armin. I believe Armin's coming back too. Thank you for coming back. Recently, I got an Asus PCE AX58BT. Wi-Fi 808, okay, a Wi-Fi 6 card for my custom-built computer. It's connected to my Orbi mesh router. You have an Orbi voice, but it's not giving you the 867 megabits per second. But I need to change any settings on the router. So I guess kind of my question here is that you're supposed to be receiving 867 megabits per second. Are you paying for gigabit speeds, or what is that difference there from what you're paying for and what you're actually receiving? And also, you're connected, but are you connected wired or wirelessly? I think this is going to make a big difference here as to, I think you have the right card for it. But actually here on the Wi-Fi 6, on the Wi-Fi 6 portion of it, you have a good network card. it's still going to be compatible with the Orbi Voice, but the Orbi Voice still, in the end, isn't a Wi-Fi 6 router. So I think that's also a bit of a discrepancy here. You're still going to get, the best speeds that the Orbi Voice could spit out from what you're paying for on the modem side, but that's just kind of a note. That's a Wi-Fi 6 card. You have a Wi-Fi 5 router. That's the first thing I see. I don't know if you guys see anything else. Also,
another thing that I would add in there is, since he's mentioning it's a custom-built computer, I'm assuming that this isn't a laptop. It's actually a standalone system. Does your AX card have a antenna that plugs into it? Because I know that I have that functionality on my system, but there's an antenna that plugs in because the card is actually inside a metal box next to a wall, which is my computer. So you're not getting great Wi-Fi signals there. So I'm assuming that that has an antenna with a cable that goes and plugs into the card. So you want to make sure that that antenna is as high as possible. It's not sitting behind your monitors. It's not sitting behind any other obstructions to try to maximize the Wi-Fi signal you're getting off of that to your Orbi system.
Yeah, great advice. I should heed that advice because I have a A7000 adapter underneath my desk. I don't know if that's the best
and you're
place
wondering
for
why
it.
your Wi-Fi isn't good.
Hey, but we're streaming this, right? I hope that you guys aren't watching this and being like, dang, his Wi-Fi sucks, but
no, you're just pixelated all the time. We just didn't want to mention it.
I'm dropping now. You guys are just, they're just like, we don't need him. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, try it out. That's some good advice because I should listen to that, even for me. So yeah, this is, I think, when you ask, do you need to change any settings on the router? I don't think there's really a lot of settings on the router. I would just say more on that card. Make sure that you have that placement, and also again, if you have any information, kind of tell us that, you're speed testing, but it's wired or wireless. That's going to make it a little bit of a difference. And then just note you're on a Wi-Fi 6 card connecting to a Wi-Fi 5 router, which is great. It's fine. But also in the future, if you want to upgrade to Wi-Fi 6, that's where you're going to get the most amount of speeds going to your custom-built machine. I'm sure you spend a lot of time and passion on that machine. Just some general advice. All right. Here, we're going to go back to Robus. I kind of have to loop back a little bit, but I'm just going to read the comment what he got right now. So he's connected wired. He's in the UK. He's got BT. He uses a DM200 modem in the modem mode using PPOE on the XR500. It's the fact that it seems like in Call of Duty, I'm about 1 second behind my PS4, which has static IP and it's in the DMZ. Let me try to kind of jump back earlier in the chat. I think that was way earlier in the show today. It was for the XR500. I'm going all the way back. Does anyone have any suggestions, or is I try to catch up?
Okay, well, I think I understand what he's saying is that in Call of Duty, he's about 1 second behind his PS4, and then, the PS4 has a static IP and is in the DMZ.
Yeah.
The one but the one thing I do see there is he's running on a DSL modem. And so the speeds that he's connecting with are not going to be that great to begin with, because DSL, unless it's ADSL, and even ADSL isn't that fast, the speeds aren't that great, and they're often inconsistent. So having problems isn't as surprising on that as opposed to a standard like a cable modem that you're connected to. With Call of Duty being about 1 second behind. Anything about maybe the server that he's connected up to with Call of Duty matchmaking?
Yeah,
anything that might cause problems?
Yeah, one, are you connecting to servers in the UK? Or are you connecting to servers in the European continent? A second behind, that's a pretty huge. That's 1,000 milliseconds. So that's a huge connection issue. Hopefully, that's a little bit of an exaggeration than the actual, because Call of Duty would be virtually unplayable. But
you'd always miss by that much.
Yeah, exactly. You'd probably get kicked for inactivity before you realized it. So it seems like every Call of Duty, in any Call of Duty, is, and Call of Duty is in our list of games in the QoS, and I would go and see if you're using that. He's using PPOE on the XR500. That just seems odd. I don't know about you, Darren, but that's a weird. This is a weird one.
Yeah, I don't really know what would be causing that slight lag that he's having.
Yeah, I would actually encourage him to write us and see if we can get a little bit more support than us kind of guesstimating over YouTube. I really would like you to write into us. I think that there's a little bit of a bigger issue here, and maybe you can help us find BT ISP. I've noticed over the last few weeks that we've been doing this, but there are some issues with BT, and so let's have you write in. Let's see if we can get you some better help.
Yeah. Well, here, just kind of break down. I do think, from my opinion, I think that DSL, the modem, that could be a potential bottleneck as to why you're getting that super crazy latency.
Yeah.
We don't want that. That's not what you want for gaming. You paid for a gaming router. Let's try to get you your speeds. So if you reach out on Twitter, that'll go directly to Ben at twitter.com/NetGearGaming. If you use the link, I believe it's been mentioned a couple times through the chat. We have an email here, netgearteam@netgear.com, and then add stay connected, #stay connected in the subject line, and then we'll be able to know that you're coming from this show. So we'll be able to get you personalized help, just depending on which venue you want to take it, or who you want to talk to. Cool.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Then we've got. I'm gonna skip over RR real quick because I'm gonna answer Dino Minus's, and then get back to RR. Stay tuned next week. Dino Minus, did you sign up for the beta already? If you haven't, sign up. We should be rolling out an email next week about the beta going for the Nighthawk Pro gaming routers.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of just want to reiterate. Well, one, thank you for coming back to the show, Dan Aminos. You're a regular, but also I've seen some comments kind of coming in. I want to iterate that it's for Nighthawk Pro gaming routers. I think we got a lot of people excited. We got some R9000 users that are interested in it. But yeah, you have to be in the Nighthawk Pro gaming ecosystem in order to be eligible.
Yeah, it's only for. Yeah, and this first batch is really only going to be for the XR500 as far as the test.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the list. Dinah, I don't see you on the list. So go sign up. I will actually personally. I signed up. I signed up. So I don't want to expose your email or anything here, but if you can give me what your community username is, I can. I'll bump you up the list.
Boom.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, that's
what happens when you keep coming back week after week. So.
Yeah. I love to see it. Yeah, cool. To get to that list, I forgot the URL, but if you go to our show last week, we did a Doom OS 3.0 walkthrough. So click into the YouTube channel, click on the channel link in the description. You'll be able to kind of see, I believe it was 2 streams ago, we went through pretty much everything in the software, and we have a direct link into the beta sign up right there. So throw that in, give Ben your community username, boom, I'll give you a cut to the front line.
I will. Yeah, if you've been watching this show, that's one of the benefits of working with us or coming and hanging out with us for 2 hours on a Friday at noon. Yeah. Dino Minas is like, really? Yes, really. Just put your community name in the chat, and I will bump you up the list. I'm also going to bump up Tameen as well. So
Nice.
I'm waiting on my T-shirt. So,
Hey, come on, man.
those
What's up with that?
T-shirts are actually they're supposed to be going up on the store soon. Yeah, I'm still waiting on those T-shirts as well. So check back next week. We'll have more news.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, more to come. Hey, so we're gonna go back to RR real quick. So this one's about the RX80. He drops Wi-Fi wired and wireless at least once a day. He's noticed that the fan doesn't turn on even during heavy streaming use. Is there any cause here? So it seems like that there's a couple things in the chat coming from dropouts on the Wi-Fi 6 products. My first thing is that I'm not sure if that's a software issue that is reoccurring for a lot of folks out there. I don't know, Darren, if you see anything on the community or anything like this.
I haven't really seen anything. I can check with the person that runs the Rax community. They are a little bit more in tune with that community to see what's going on with that. Does the Rax 80 have a fan at all? I'm looking that up.
Yeah, that's a good question. I know the 200 for sure does. 120 is like a maybe, 80 is like a maybe-ish kind of thing. But yeah, we'll have to double check.
But to answer to answer the question though, normally that fan shouldn't have to come on because there's actually very ginormous heat sinks on top of the chips in the router, and that should handle the heat. If you take it and you shove it into a cabinet though, then the heat's going to build up and could build up too much where you could actually have it turn off because it's just got too hot. But if it's actually in an open air environment, that shouldn't be causing the connection drop, and with the heatsink on it, that's more than enough to keep the chips cool.
So that's good stuff. So good sign. If your fans weren't on, that sounds worse for me. So we don't want to overheat your router, overload it with whatever if it's a hardware issue. So I guess and Darren, let us know if there's maybe anything in the software side you might have seen. I guess kind of just like a solution that I could see right now is, again, we want to reiterate, make sure you're updated to the latest firmware. I'm not sure if you've already reset it before in the past, but that's still something relatively quick that you could try out. And yeah, let us know, like, even on the speeds that you're getting. I don't know if sometimes we're getting these things where it's like, hey, I have high speeds and then I get low speeds, or if you're getting high speeds and all of a sudden it just drops out for a second. I want to be able to kind of like diagnose it a little bit closer. So, give us a couple more details and we can help you out.
Yeah, I just checked on that. We did release a Rax firmware just last week, so make sure you're on the latest firmware. But if you're still having issues, please send us an email at the email in the chat. We'll work with you closer on those issues with disconnects and heating issues.
Yeah. So, let us know after you update to the latest firmware, and then we can help you out there. Sorry, Ben. I'm just seeing Ursula kind of float in and float out.
Yeah,
she's kind of like a ghost in the background.
she's floating in and out.
All right. We got about 10 minutes left, and we got a few more questions. So we're gonna start rapid firing this off. We didn't even need the filler questions, so good sign that what we're doing is either we're too far behind or we're getting a lot of good questions. You tell us. All right, Marlon, I have a Fios router with a WN2500 RP extender. Will the Nighthawk router cover the area, or should I go mesh? One, you got to tell me.
Depends on how large of an area.
Yeah, what's your area?
Yeah.
Are you looking at an apartment? Are you looking at a single family house? Are you so it seems like you already have the extender. Where's your dead spot? Like, where's your pain point? Tell us where your pain point is, and I'll tell you if you need mesh or if you just need, I don't know, maybe just update the router, or what kind of solution you need.
All right. Add another extender depending on where things are at.
Exactly. So Marlon, you got 9 minutes to throw in a follow-up. I I don't want to tell you go mesh right away. I mean, that will probably, solve a lot of your issues. But again, we want to give you that, make sure that this is right for your budget and your needs. All right, places and spaces, 35. For the RX120, what are the modes to use wireless? Okay, what are the modes to use for wireless 20, 40, 80, 160 mode? The best modes. I'm not too sure about that one, actually. Do you guys know?
Well, the best mode would be 160 because that's going to give you the fastest throughputs. But it really depends on the environment and what other things are around. Like if you're sitting right next to an airport, you don't want to go into the 160 mode because it's going to be kicking you out of that mode anyway, because it's going to detect signals on that same band from the airport. So I would say try it at the 160, see how it works, and if you seem to be having any problems, then drop back to the 80. But always the higher frequency, you're going to get the faster speeds. Nice. Or if you're very far away from the router and you're noticing that your throughput is really, really low, then try dropping down to the, say, 40, because that'll actually make it through walls better than the 160 megahertz will.
Awesome. That's good advice. I honestly didn't even know that myself, actually. Higher frequency, faster. So yeah, look at those for your modes.
Okay, I just, real quick, I want to interject real quick.
Go ahead.
So, Dynaminos, I don't see you on the list. I don't see that you've signed up. So, if you can go to, I'm going to drop this into the chat, and if you can go to this beta sign up, I'm dropping it into our internal little chat. But if you could go there and go sign up, then I can see that you're on the list. Mm-hmm. But right now, I don't see you on the list under that with that username. So go ahead and even if you have, sign up again with that username, and I will find you on the list.
Awesome. So Ryan, I see your follow-up. So after you disconnected your I believe it was the extra 500 for a little bit. I wonder if we could kind of break down a couple more suggestions. But yeah, the ADSL, same on. Okay, so I see a few follow-ups. I'm on ADSL, same as the last guy, chap, and I'm on PPPoE as well. And I also appreciate your last comment here. I hope you find this useful. But we're happy to help you out here. So I don't know if we kind of had a few kind of last suggestions here for the extra 500, unplugged for a month, coming back, and then now it's rubbish.
Yeah. Oh, that's because I've gone back, and it would frustrate me. Let's see. POE as well. Yeah, that's a definite write-in. This is a second. I think this is the second question that we've gotten on this, and like, I think today, or there seems to be some commonalities. So I would suggest that you guys write into us, because this could be something that could be. It could be something that something's not playing well with BT.
Yeah. NetDuma guys should be able to investigate that more, being over in the UK with BT. Yeah.
Yeah. We have.
So we could talk with our team with NetDuma and see if there's a solution there. But and they're out of the UK, so they'll have a bit of a better understanding. I'm not as 100% familiar with BT or Virgin routers and modems as much as they are. To answer Ray's question, yes, the beta is coming to the 700, but it's coming a little bit later. Right now it's in a testing phase, and we'll be able to roll it out to you guys as soon as for a beta, as soon as we do some more internal testing. But it's but it will be coming to the 700 as well.
Okay. All right, 4 minutes. I got like 4 questions, I hope. So we got a minute each. I want to wrap up kind of. So Bon James, this was on I believe the RX200 versus the RX120. 4,500 square foot house, 4 Apple TV devices, 20 devices. I already see a lot of devices.
Yep.
4,500 square feet. I would, if you want peace of mind, if you want to just pretty much really make sure that you're going to get the best performance at that point with that size of the house, I would say the RX 200. In my opinion, I don't know if you guys are, would recommend anything else. I see that you're looking at the XR 700. XR 700 is great. I would say if you have a lot of gaming devices or you have a lot of gaming, heavy users who want to really tinker with that network. Let's say you guys are streaming, or let's say you guys are playing a lot of online multiplayer. XR 700 that would also work, but I would just go straight to the RX 200. Honestly, I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
Yep. Though with the 4,500 square foot house, you may actually have to add in a mesh extender in there. Unless your router is right in the center of the house, chances are you're going to have some weaker signals on the other side of the house because that's a fairly big house.
Yeah. So bigger is more in this case. But see, again, I want to know this kind of stuff so I could give you the best recommendation possible. So let us know.
Yep.
Let us know what you think. Adalberto, I forgot to ask, what does the lock with the home icon button in the front of the router mean? I don't know what that is.
And I have to say, he's got me because I just went and looked at the images that we have of the AX12, and I can't see a lock with a home icon on any of the icons on the top of the router. So I'm not sure what icon he's referring to.
That's interesting. So, give us a picture or something. I don't know. Give me a Google image, and I'll look at it, and then I'll be like, all right, I'll tell you. But in the meantime, you wouldn't have to worry too much about it. Sure.
We just got stumped.
Yeah, we got stumped on that one.
That's a first. Wow.
Yeah.
You get a no prize for today.
You do.
And if you're familiar with the Marvel no prize, that means that you get no prize. But, real quick, follow up on Dino Minas. I found you under Spiros, and you are, I didn't even have to bump you up. You were in the top.
Nice. You're already on number 1. Good stuff. Thank you, Ben, for doing that. Really nice of you.
I'm here.
We got 1 minute left. I think a couple more questions. Brittany, power isn't on, or the power light's not on, but the Wi-Fi light is on. Follow up. Are you getting Wi-Fi? Are you having performance issues with that? I would say that the lights, for me, if your Wi-Fi light is on, then yeah, the power is on for sure. But I wouldn't worry so much if you're not having any issues.
Yeah, one thing to check is, I don't know on the 6700, I haven't worked with that in a while, is check in the admin screens to see if there actually is a selector to adjust what you want the lights to do. Because on some of our routers, there actually is a selector where you can say, I don't want any lights on, I only want the power light on, and possibly the third selection would be only the Wi-Fi lights. So it might have actually been switched over to say you don't want to see any of the other lights except that one. So go into the admin screen, check to see if that actually is in there for that particular model. I was trying to check on the model, but I haven't been able to find something specific on it yet. But I know many of the ones in that time frame when they were making the 6700, we did allow you to turn the lights on and off.
Good point. Really good point. Yeah, so double check that. Might be something in the software that you can trigger. I think it was one of the first times we're actually out of time, so we're gonna have to kind of skim through a couple of these. But I just wanted to appreciate you guys for coming in and joining the chat, dropping in your questions. I know we want to spend a lot of time per person, so apologies if we're falling a little bit behind. But just let us know. What do you guys think? If we want to speed it up, we might skim a lot of things, but really we're here to help you. So just a couple last things. Wi-Fi 6. When is it getting Circle? We can't technically comment on that yet. Stay tuned. I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but stay tuned. Shout out our social team. We'll shout out our team when we see those comments. And again, we have a little bit of a push that we could give our product team when we get comments like that.
Yeah. Also, you can subscribe to us. and also don't forget to like it below. God, I hate saying that, but it's so cliche, but it gives you the willies just to say it. But well, we have to.
It makes our bosses happy.
It does, and it allows us to keep doing this. Thank everybody. I know that we're running out of time here. M-Dog, shout out. Thanks for coming back. Ryan, I'm glad that you're learning something from this. Come back next week. We're always got something more. And then a quick, please, when you returned in Russia, product router NETGEAR.
I think maybe it's like about product availability.
Yeah, product availability. Yeah. Some products are available. I'm not sure. I think we need a little bit more to go on. Come back next week and we'll try to get your question answered. And let's see what else. Best device coming out for NETGEAR. I don't know. Did we answer that one?
The next one.
The next
all of them.
one is always the best device.
The next one will be the best device.
Yeah.
And as always, we really, we're pretty tight-lipped about that. We really don't talk about things until it's ready to come out. We're artisans, so it's not ready until it's ready.
My last point to that would be the best product that we have is the best product that works for you. And
exactly.
The only way you can really find that out is join this show, tell us your situation, tell us your home, your needs, and we'll be able to suggest the best kind of product for you, because otherwise you kind of got to dig around and do your own research, but we can help guide you through that.
Yeah. But once again, thanks everybody for joining. I know it was a tight 2 hours. Good grief.
It was. Yeah.
And today went super fast. I'm like blown away by I'm like, what? It's already 2:00. So.
Yeah. And I can answer Alberto's question about that button, because he said it's next to the WPS. That's the one that actually turns your Wi-Fi signal off and on. So you can actually hit that to manually turn off your Wi-Fi instead of having to go into the admin screens.
Ooh.
Boom. We are not stumped.
We didn't get stumped. So that still hasn't happened yet on the show. All right. Well, thank you guys again. Please come back. We do this every week. Like and subscribe, and we'll be able to do this more for you guys in the future. So thank you guys for coming. We'll see you guys soon.
Okay. See you later.
See ya.
Later.